Welcome to a special episode of Arthritis at Home. I'm Kelly Lendvoy, VP of Communications and Public Affairs. Joining us today is Cheryl Koehn, President of Arthritis Consumer Experts. Cheryl, welcome.
Thank you. Hi.
A special holiday episode, and it is an exciting time of year. Doubly exciting over at ACE because it's an opportunity for us to look back at a year of activities and programming, and also to look ahead to 2026 and what we have in store for our members and subscribers who are joining us today. And Cheryl, you're going to walk us through that. Let's start by looking at something that you commonly reference and refer to, and that is how carefully we listen to people with arthritis. I'm wondering if you can share with the audience, how does that commitment show up in the work that ACE does?
Well, I think it's a great place to start this conversation because when I think back over 26 years, Kelly, I think ACE has built a reputation for being very strong advocates for the 6 million plus people with arthritis, but we can't do that without listening, right? It's not just pointing our voices to the wind and shouting. We're actually using our ear through our national survey program, through our social media platform, um, in focus groups, in meetings, in the research that we do and that we do with the research community. All of those things, that day-to-day engagement with our members, with our subscribers, our fans and followers, shape what we do in terms of information and education development and delivery, hopefully in creative, useful ways, and then through our advocacy priorities. And specifically, Kelly, what these people in our community every day, people like you and me living with a type of arthritis, you know, what they say to us influences how we focus our advocacy with the federal, provincial, and territorial governments. And most of it, Kelly, is really focused on, access to treatments, but also services and how those arthritis healthcare services are shaped and delivered and offered out to people with arthritis. Um, when we listen carefully, I think we're successful at updating our education program. So it's not just enough to create a program, whether it's just information being pushed out to the community or education that's a bit more of an interactive process, either through our webinars, our arthritis at home programming, through our joint health education. Those things have to be updated, and they're updated by listening as well to people saying, well, that worked, or that piece of that program didn't work. And then we sharpen our tools and update them and send them back out to the community. So that's a really important part of our listening, is that updating process. And then as we look forward, Kelly, in 2026, that same listening is really going to help drive how we launch our national surveys, like doing better at actually getting our surveys out, because it is the big listening tool, our national survey program, and then helping us ensure that our work remains really clearly focused and very relevant. Because unless we listen carefully and develop things that are relevant and focused, we're not doing what we set out to do, in terms of our job, to support, to help, and to talk to our fellow, members, our people with arthritis.
We're going to have some of those points of contact at the end of this episode because we do want to hear from you. And something for you to always remember in terms of an audience member is feedback@jointhealth.org, the simplest, most direct way. We're always monitoring, as Cheryl said, always listening and always acting on the messages that you leave us. So look forward to hearing from all of you in 2026. Congratulations, Cheryl. As founder, that must give you a lot of satisfaction, but so must also the growing reach that ACE has, not just nationally, but internationally. I'm wondering if you could comment on how that growing reach and audience reflects on ACE's reputation as a trusted source of arthritis information.
Yeah, well, first of all, reputation, matters for one reason and one reason only, because you have a reputation of trust, you have a reputation of action, right? You have a reputation for creative problem solving. Those are the things that matter to me about organizational reputation. It's not about, what color your logo is. It's about what that color does for people. And so in 2025, Kelly, our reputation, I guess, grew because our membership grew, right? And our subscribership grew. That tells me, anyway, that more people want to come into the village, more people want to be a part of what it is we're doing. And our social media content, the audience for that whole area of activity in our organization grew, so that when we talk about almost 450,000 people potentially can see or hear what we're doing. So to me, that's what matters about our reputation. And that growth, certainly reflects trust in us as I think, really consistent and independent source of evidence-based information. One of the things we've really protected over 26 years has been our independence. We have a strict set of guiding principles, and we abide by those every day in the work that we do. I believe also we're trusted because when we opened our doors, Kelly, we said we were here to stay. And we've been here for 365 days, day in and day out, all day, every day, for 26 years. So in 2026, we want to continue, obviously, to build that trust. And we do that by putting out or expanding proven programs that actually help people with accurate, timely information, guidance, support, laughter, tears. I mean, we kind of do it all because we are at our desks every day, all day. And what I do in my day, apart from working with you and our senior team and our translators, our web designers, our web host, is I talk to people out in our community and help them problem solve. And for me, that's where the good stuff is. It's actually just sitting side by side with someone like me, whether it's with rheumatoid arthritis, which is what I live with, or another type of arthritis, doesn't really matter. We're sitting shoulder to shoulder in dealing with arthritis in our lives.
You also talked about the national surveys as a serving sort of as a foundation for our work, and how we accelerate change in arthritis care based on those learnings and perspectives that we gain through them. I'm wondering if you can walk us through that survey program, particularly as it relates to the two that we conducted this year on AI and lupus, and the two that we have planned for 2026.
Sure. So first of all, I want to thank everyone out in Aceland. If you were a participant in one of our surveys, we are deeply grateful to you for responding and for helping guide us in the way that you do by participating in the surveys. It's not just ticking boxes, Kelly, when someone responds to our survey. We offer so many opportunities for people to write open-ended comments, to actually help us by hearing in their own words what it is they think, want, and need from ACE, but also from the community, from the healthcare system, and from government. So those words, they're not, research has this horrible way of referring to things as like that as anecdotal. They are far more than anecdotal points of evidence. They're that lived experience that bring everyday life into every aspect, not just of our education information programming, but in our advocacy efforts. It is so powerful to be able to sit with government and say, we had a survey respondent tell us this. Our survey responses help us with our patient input processes. Our surveys help us build, obviously, our joint health education program. So that's critical. We're now taking the results from the AI survey and from the lupus survey, and in 2026, we're going to be building out joint health education programs on that. So that helps close sort of the survey cycle, if you will, where we listen, we turn the responses into information and education programming, and then we advocate based on what people are telling us. In 2026, we're going to turn our attention in our survey program to access to wait times, and wait times in a lot of different areas, not just joint replacement, which I think is one of the most commonly heard about things. But we also, we wait for medications. We wait to see a rheumatologist. We wait to get an MRI. We wait for all of these things, like many other chronic disease patients do, Kelly. But in that our job is to work on behalf of people with arthritis in Canada, that's what we're going to focus on is how are people with arthritis waiting? What are they waiting for? What are their experiences during that wait time? And then the other one is years ago, about a little over a decade ago, we ran a survey on women in arthritis. So for many in our audience, it's not going to come as a surprise because they're women. But women are 2 out of 3 who get arthritis in Canada and around the world. Some types of arthritis, like lupus, it's upwards of 90% who get arthritis. So we want to find out, get a real snapshot on what's happening with women in arthritis in Canada in 2026. So super excited about those two surveys coming up.
I wonder if you could also look ahead to 2026 and tell us how ACE is working to scale our impact based on and while staying grounded on our key arthritis priorities, which are, for instance, equity and improving models of care. How are we doing that next year?
Yeah, well, I think in a number of ways, and I want to mention one of the most important is by working with our partners, right? We scale by working in partnership. So we don't just scale in ACE. We don't just try to expand our reach within ACE. We try to do it by linking arms with our fellow organizations who are working on behalf of people with arthritis. And we've done that over the last couple of years, working closely with Arthritis Society Canada, Arthritis Research Canada, the Canadian Institutes of Health Research, and many others who are in the community to build a plan that goes coast to coast to coast that is going to try to ensure a more timely diagnosis, ensure access to specialists happen more quickly, and in the right location, right? Ensure that there's medication coverage, something that ACE has, I think, been a leader on in the country. So all of these things we've done in 2024, and they will be scaled up in this huge partnership I'm talking about. So it's not just through our own programming, Kelly, it's by the community, the bigger village, I think, where people with arthritis in Canada will benefit the most. And people will be hearing more about that from us and our partners in the arthritis community later in the spring in 2026. when this national plan finally launches. So I don't want to steal the thunder of the village. So just giving people a little sneak peek. Uh, but in ACE, we're, again, I mentioned our expansion of the joint health education program to include new courses on lupus and on AI. But we're also going to focus on building out areas of editorial content. So we have Joint Health Insight newsletter where we take these information pieces that are written from the surveys and we push them out through different types of communication channels. Of course, we have Arthritis at Home and our annual hashtag See Arthritis event. Those are things that actively translate research and push them out in venues like this on Arthritis at Home, through as I mentioned, the hashtag See Arthritis program, which features Canada's leading rheumatologists, clinical researchers, basic science scientists, physiotherapists, occupational therapists. Like, we bring the village to people in their homes, to people who tune in faithfully to Arthritis at Home every week. This is how we can get what is the latest out to our community in a very cost-effective and we think somewhat, entertaining way. It's not just sitting down and opening up a book or reading a book online. It's hearing and seeing from ACE every day, or on a weekly or monthly basis. So it's all of these things that are going to be focused to community, centered on community, and not just community, but equity in community, making sure that we are trying as best we can year over year to reach Indigenous peoples in ways that they say they want and need. People who are Black, people who are from other racialized communities in the country. Um, you know, what we do has to be trauma informed, trauma sensitive, culturally appropriate, equitable. Those are the key principles that are foundational to our work. We don't always get it right, but we learn from our shortcomings, I hope. That is our goal each and every day when we're out in our community.
You listed a number of resources and tools there. I'm going to ensure that we have links to them at the end as well, including a link to the Arthritis Community Learning Circle that ACE co-founded, and is a very important piece of our work in Indigenous arthritis care.
Yeah, thanks for raising it. Can I just mention one other thing, Kelly, about
Yeah,
that? Arthritis Call to Action um, is a very important website, and it's we're on constantly updating, has new resources, but it's really reconciliation on call to action number 22 in the report and on truth and reconciliation, and specifically on the calls to action as part of that report. It offers arthritis healthcare professionals the information they need to help them become better care providers to Indigenous peoples, again, in culturally appropriate ways, in ways that where they understand the world vision, the world view of an Indigenous person better, in understanding the types of um, health beliefs and practices that they still wish to incorporate in their arthritis care. Those are things that are fundamental actions, reconciliation actions in the truth and reconciliation process and on the road with our brothers and sisters on Turtle Island who are Indigenous. We're also going to be placing on the website a new document, and it is a commitment document from the entire arthritis community that says how it is going to act on the health specific calls to action number 18 to 24. So we'll be announcing that in the spring. Super excited about getting that up on the website and having people see what our larger commitment is to Indigenous peoples on Turtle Island.
We listen to you, our audience. We try to provide you the tools to help you with your own journey to truth and reconciliation, to helping you be prepared and being a leader of your healthcare team, um, helping you talk about arthritis at work with your employer, with your work colleagues. And we are only able to do that with your insights, with your shared perspective and feedback. So, one more reminder, please contact us when you can to help make our tools even better. I should say as well that as part of our election advocacy in 2026, we'll be doing a campaign around the Quebec election. So, helping you also participate and be leaders as advocates for arthritis across Canada. That is our goal. And we look forward to working and listening to all of you in 2026. Cheryl, thank you so much for walking us through 2025. Really excited to be working with you in 2026 and serving everybody watching us today and who are across Canada, our members, our subscribers.
Around the world, really.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Well, happy holidays to everyone, and no matter how you celebrate, we wish you a very peaceful holiday season.
Thanks again. Look forward to seeing you on another episode of Arthritis at Home. Happy holidays.